Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. Another big exciting day at my kitchen. Where are we going? How about the Italian Riviera? Doesn't that sound fantastic? The Italian Riviera is in Liguria. It's in the northern east region of Italy. Portofino, Christopher Columbus. It's a place that I went that I had the most delicious piece of today's recipe, which is going to be focaccia bread. So what are we making? We're making a focaccia bread, which is a flat leavened bread. So it's sometimes it's in rectangles, sometimes it's made in a round. It's eaten all over Italy, kind of a street food. It is just absolutely delicious. All right, so what do you say? Enough chatting, let's get cooking. Let's start having some fun. Let me go over ingredients for you really quick. First thing you're gonna need is some flour. Now I like unbleached, unenriched flour. We're gonna use a bread flour in this case. So bread flour or an all-purpose flour has a higher protein content. We're gonna do 4 cups of bread flour or all-purpose flour. Next, guys, you're gonna need some water. Bread's not complicated. It doesn't have that many ingredients. So we're gonna have 2.5 cups of water. We're gonna want warm water, not hot, but certainly not cold. And I broke it up this way. So I've got 2 cups in one container and a half of a cup in another container. I'll explain why here in a couple minutes. Next, we're gonna want that leavening. We're gonna want this thing to puff up and get that kind of the yeasty, almost sour feel, that flavor I love so much with fermented foods. So in this case, we're gonna do 2.5 teaspoons of active dry yeast, which is essentially, if you buy it in packets, it's gonna be 1 packet of active dry yeast. Yeast loves sugar. In fact, they feed on sugars like carbohydrates. So in this case, we're gonna have some sweetened old school way. We're gonna add some honey. So I've got 1 tablespoon of honey. Another big ingredient in bread is gonna be salt. So here what I've got is some Sicilian flaky sea salt. So this is a little lighter, a little brinier, and it's sexy because Sicilian salt's sexy, and I'm a little Sicilian, so, you know, there's a little sexiness going on right there. All right, I'll stop. All right, now we're gonna add the garlic. We're gonna add garlic. Oh, the first time I had that focaccia from Genoa, I was actually in Recco, and they had garlic on this focaccia. It was so great. So we're gonna take essentially 1 bulb of garlic, and we're gonna make a confit out of it. Now, classic focaccia has rosemary on it, and I've got some fresh rosemary here. Oh, I mean, you gotta love your ingredients when you're making stuff. You just gotta love it. And rosemary is really good. There's a study out that shows really good for your memory. At the least I think it is. No, I can't remember, it must be oregano. No, okay, all right, that funny. I know, hey, I'm just trying. We're trying to have some fun here in the kitchen, guys, that's all. They're not all gonna be winners, you know what I mean? The big kahuna, the big ingredient in here is extra virgin Italian olive oil. You're gonna need some olive oil. Now, because we're making a focaccia from Italy, you're gonna want Italian olive oil, you're gonna want a grassy, earthy, peppery. Where would I go? Oh, I know. So, hey, anybody new to our channel, I own a farm in Italy. It's right above the heel. We co-op with a whole group of farms from that region to give you some of the best extra virgin olive oil you're ever gonna have. I have 2 boys, Vito and Joe, so I named the company after them. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Joe, I'd love to get some. I'd love for you to get some too. So where do you get it? Go to my webpage, Cooking and Telling Joe, Facebook page, Instagram page, the description here on YouTube. Just click buy it now. We can actually drop ship you a large, small bottle, a group of bottles right to your front doorstep. I was thinking of taking a trip to Italy right in a bottle. A couple other things you're gonna need. You're gonna take that oven, you're gonna crank it to 450 Fahrenheit. You're gonna want a cookie sheet, but you don't wanna put parchment in this, and I'll explain why when we get there. Bowl, strainer, something to mix this in so we don't make a mess. You're gonna need Frank Sinatra playing. You're gonna need some hungry family members, and we're gonna have some fun. So what do you say? Let's get cooking. Step number 1, yeast. Step number 2, salt. Now in our 2 cups of warm water, I'm gonna take, I say a heaping tablespoon, but certainly a little bit more than a tablespoon of salt. I'm gonna go ahead and put it right in our water, give it a stir. So I want that water to get kind of briny, salty obviously. Now in regards to our yeast mixture, I'm gonna take my packet of active yeast, put it in my half a cup of lukewarm water, and now I'm gonna take my honey and I'm gonna feed those yeast and ever so gently give this a stir. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and set this aside. Now in prepping our dough, I've got a large bowl here that I'm gonna mix my dough in, and then I've just got a strainer here to go ahead and sift my flour, and I'm gonna go ahead and take my 4 cups of flour, pop them right in there, and then just give it a nice light sift. Now guys, it's been about 10 minutes. I'm just gonna go ahead and make a little bit of a well in here. Now my yeast is all fully dissolved. I'm gonna go ahead and pour that right in. My salt's fully dissolved. I'm gonna go ahead and pour that right in. I've got one of these silicone bowl scrapers, which is great. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a mix. Now again, you might have to add a little bit more liquid, or you might have to add a little bit more flour, depending on our consistency here. I prefer to do it this way rather than on the top of the counter. It just saves from making a mess. Guys, it's just been a minute or two. That looks pretty good. It feels just a little bit on the wet side. So a quick tip here, just set it aside for about 5 minutes because the moisture in here will hydrate the flour. And then we're gonna do just a few minutes of kneading. While the bread dough is hydrating for a few minutes, I wanna go ahead and prep my garlic. So that's what I've got left from the bulb. Some of these we're gonna cut in half or thirds. So we got a good 15 to 20 pieces of garlic is what you want. And then we're gonna go ahead and peel these puppies. Take your knife, give it a whack. Now guys, go ahead and take your saucepan, and as you peel these, we're gonna pop them right in the saucepan. Small ones I'm gonna go ahead and leave the same size. Any of the bigger ones here, I'm just gonna cut it in thirds. Garlic's in our saucepan. We're gonna need to add some olive oil. Now guys, we're gonna add some of the best olive oil out there, Vito and Joe, so if you haven't grabbed yourself a bottle, oh wait, I can hear it being shipped to your house right now. I'll tell you what else that makes this confit or anything else we make in the kitchen, it comes out molto delicioso, is when you subscribe to the channel. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button. Also give us a thumbs up. It'll help share our recipes with other people looking to have some fun cooking Italian in the kitchen. Also hit that notification bell. We've got the farm, we've got recipes, we've got travel tips. Any of that will come right to your notification box. And as I tell you guys every week, it really means the world to me when you subscribe to the channel. And hey, make sure you're part of the Cooking Italian with Joe family. In the garlic, we're gonna add a 1/4 of a cup of Vito and Joe's olive oil. We're gonna get a little sexy. I'm gonna add just a pinch of salt, ever so lightly, 1/8 of a teaspoon at best. The key here, guys, the lowest heat you possibly can put on there. Confit in French actually means to preserve. So what we're doing is we're cooking this down really, really slow over about 25-30 minutes. So the oil is gonna be infused with garlic. The garlic's gonna be tender and brown, and this is gonna be gorgeous to put on top of our focaccia. Now guys, when it comes to garlic, sometimes you get somebody in the family, somebody is a friend, they'll say, hey, listen, I don't like garlic. Maybe it's a first date, I don't know. Let me explain something to you from Uncle Joe. Get rid of them, scrape them off, get them out of your life. If there isn't something that screams to you, this isn't gonna work, or you're not welcome in my home, a comment like that, I mean, I think that says it all. I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just saying. Guys, the consistency is perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and add about 3 tablespoons of Vito and Joe's olive oil. I'm gonna give this a gentle mix, and then we're gonna go ahead and knead it just for a couple minutes on the counter. I'm gonna go ahead and take this right out of our pan. You see how it's a little bit wet, but holds together perfect? That's exactly what I want. I'm just gonna knead this literally for like 3-4 minutes. Now what this does is it allows gluten to form in the bread dough, and that's gonna give us our structure to hold the air from the yeast. Okay guys, it's been literally just like 2 to 3 minutes. I've got a beautiful consistency here. Now we gotta let this rise. So as Nono Caroline, my grandmother used to do, you're gonna take maybe a tablespoon of olive oil in the bottom of your pan, take the dough, put it right in there, just turn it once or twice. I went to oil on the outside. Pull it so it's tight and smooth on the top. I'm gonna take a damp paper towel, put it right over the top, and I'm gonna let this ferment for about 2 to 3 hours, ideally overnight if possible. And what that's gonna do, it's gonna build up air, and the yeast is gonna break this down. And the longer you can let it rise within the day, you're gonna create more complexity of flavor. It's gonna be delicious. I made this one yesterday. This came out perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that off. And you see how doughy that is? And you see when you push down, it holds that structure. That is just beautiful. It's exactly what we want. We got good gluten in there. Everything is great. So I don't wanna knock this down. I want that air in there, but I wanna go ahead and prep it on my pan. Now take your cookie sheet, and we don't want parchment. We want oil on this because we want the oil to get really hot, and it'll cook the bottom and give it a nice crisp. So I'm gonna go ahead and put about a tablespoon or so of Vito and Joe's olive oil, and then I'm gonna spread it on the pan, and make sure you do it up on the sides. And now we're gonna take our dough, put it right in the pan. Now we wanna spread this out in a square. Now the gluten is gonna slow us down, but with the olive oil in there, it'll slide. So just take your time, and without trying to knock all the air out, try to do a nice equal spread. Quick tip, you'll see it wanna shrink back to where it is. No worries at all. Just let it set for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then you're gonna go at it again, and that last little bit of stretch will be really easy once the gluten relaxes. So now I've got my garlic confit, I've got my garlic olive oil flavored, right? And that's the olive oil that I wanna use for the top of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take the olive oil right now and spread it all the way across your bread. And now it gets fun. I can remember doing this when I was a little kid with my grandmother. And now we're gonna go ahead and put those deep fingerprints in there that is so characteristic of focaccia. And that's gonna allow different flavors, the salt, the rosemary, the garlic, everything to penetrate and stick and collect, and give it a nice little spread if you need to. Next, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and take my garlic and I'm gonna spread it across, and I wanna get it equally distributed. Get it in those little nooks and crannies that you created with your fingers. Now, guys, we've got our rosemary, and real simple, you're just gonna pull across the grain here. And you're gonna use about a sprig to a sprig and a half of the leaves. Spread them out across the top of your bread. Last touch here before we let this rise one last time. We're gonna grab a half of a teaspoon of our sexy sea salt, spread it all the way around the outside as well as the middle of our focaccia. We wanna do one last rise, one last proof. So we're gonna let that set for about 30, maybe 45 minutes. We're gonna let it puff up one last time. Then we're gonna pop it in the oven, 450 degrees, and we're gonna leave it in there for about 30 minutes. Now, my advice is this: set a timer, and every 10 minutes check it. Oh boy, guys, you with me on that? Oh, that looks good. All right, let's pull this puppy out. Favorite time, taste time. This is hot, so woo. So you can see here, it's really soft inside, guys. Beautiful golden brown. I just want to show you here. Look at how gold the bottom is. It's absolutely perfect. So let's cut this up and let's start tasting it. Guys, I got to grab my piece. It's still warm, guys, but you can see how nice and gooey and doughy it is. And look at the structure of air in there. Isn't that just great? And this is exactly what it looks like in Genoa, Italy. It's about an inch thick. It's flat leavened bread, and you're going to see it's just got that dough. It's got a beautiful crust on the outside, bottom, and top. I'm going to hit it with a little drizzle of Vito and Joe's, just a teeny little drizzle. The slightest sprinkle of salt. When you order in Italy, in Genoa, that's exactly what they do. They cut it up. You can get a little cheese on there. In most cases, they drizzle it with olive oil, put a pinch of salt, wrap it up in a piece of paper, and you're ready to go. Let's see if we're in Genoa. The rosemary, the garlic, I mean, that's what hits you right away. And then you can get that, my mouth is watering, the fermentation of the bread, that flavor, that yeasty flavor. Oh, this is gonna be good. The crisp is absolutely perfect. It's doughy. It's almost like a little gooey, which I love. The garlic, it's roasted, so it's not that sharp garlic. It's almost buttery, nutty. And I love the crisp. It's still warm, the crisp on the outside and the bottom. So you've got this sandwich of soft, fluffy dough between two outside surfaces, which are crust, and the outside has got that salty rosemary. Boy, I wish I had something to wash that down from Italy. Oh, I got a little Pellegrino right there. Look at that. What a delicious recipe, guys. Thanks so much for joining me to a trip to the Italian Riviera. Guys, remember to hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, help share our videos, and hit that notification bell. Also visit us on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, or our Cooking Italian with Joe page. Grab yourself a few bottles of Vito and Joe's extra virgin olive oil. Last tip, guys, and I share this with my videos every time at the end. You know, once a month, couple times a month, get around the table with your family, shut off the TV, shut off the computer, the iPad, get rid of that phone for a little bit, you know what? And tell stories, make some recipes. You know what you're gonna do? You're gonna celebrate your heritage, whatever that might be. And even more important than that, you're gonna set some traditions with you and your family. They're gonna last you a lifetime. I know they did for me. Hey guys, from my kitchen to yours, until next week, mwah, buon appetito.